Iran News Now. Iran seized oil tanker moves to international waters, tracking data says. Iran captured a Chevron-chartered oil tanker more than a year ago. On Thursday, LSEG ship tracking data showed it heading for international waters. Iran's military boarded Marshall Islands flagged Advantage Suite in the Gulf of Oman in April 2023 following an alleged collision with an Iranian boat. An agency official said the U.S. State Department hailed the vessel's return and criticized the Iranian regime's arbitrary seizure of it from international waters. March saw the State Department demand the tanker's immediate release. Chevron and Iranian officials gave no apparent response Thursday. Iranian state-affiliated media attributed the Advantage Suite's movement to the tanker's court case's resolution. In March, an Iranian court sided with plaintiffs who sued the U.S. over restrictions that prevented Iran from importing treatment for a rare skin illness, causing deaths and misery. The semi-official Fars news agency stated that Iranian officials would sell $50 million in crude from the Advantage Suite after the judgment. The article did not say if Iran's seizure of the tanker's oil would compensate patients. According to Mizan, an Iranian court ordered the U.S. government and officials to pay $6.8 billion over penalties on Thursday. Reporting by Arpan Verghese in Bengaluru, Jonathan Saul in London, Lisa Bertline in Los Angeles and Dubai. Editing by Angus Maxwan, Andrew Heavens, and Michael Perry. EU Ambassador Johan Flodderus and Iranian-Swedish dual national Saeed Azizi are back in Sweden. Consultant Michael Spavor and diplomat Michael Kovrig are back in Canada, while Brittany Griner is back in America. You may recognize these names. People exchanged for a person their state captors wanted released, making news worldwide. Every Westerner visiting a hostile country risks detention, just like them. Even if their own countries would move mountains to release them, many travel. We can no longer afford that luxury. Staying home is one way we can all help keep our country safe. Images of Flodderus were shocking. Accused of spying and detained by Iran while vacationing there 2 years ago, he faced a possible death sentence. We all wanted him to escape this Kafkaesque nightmare. And now he has, thanks to massive Swedish government initiatives. Iran arrested Iranian-Swedish naturalized citizen Saeed Azizi for espionage last year. Iran is using them as pawns in a cynical negotiation to free Iranian citizen Hamid Nouri from prison in Sweden. In the 1980s, he committed serious crimes in Iran. As Prime Minister, I'm responsible for Swedish citizens' safety. Post-return, Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson said the government and security services had worked hard on this topic and communicated with Iran. It was always clear that the operation would need tough choices. We made those decisions, Kristersson said. Nouri, an Iranian official convicted in Sweden of executing Iranian political detainees in the 1980s, was released. To free Griner from drug accusations in Russia, President Joe Biden went to great lengths. Indeed, the U.S. traded her for renowned Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout. Bout, like Nouri, was released in 2010 after a years-long DEA undercover operation. Canada apprehended Huawei CFO, Meng Wanzhou, on a U.S. arrest warrant. Beijing was furious at the detention and detained Spavor and Kovrig, 2 Canadians in China at the time. Beijing, like Moscow and Tehran, freed Meng for the 2 Canadians. Indeed, hostile nations have found hostage diplomacy to be a powerful instrument for forcing Western governments to make inconceivable compromises. Western capitals know the dangers, yet they can't prohibit their citizens from visiting unsafe countries. In the post-Cold War era of growing peace and prosperity, Westerners seemed to think they could run away and their governments would support them. Do you remember the young Briton who flew to Afghanistan amid the West's messy retreat and documented his adventures? Criminals, tribal groups, and guerrillas may have snatched from unsafe countries with such laxity. When it's big world powers governments, it's an even higher stakes geopolitical game that can affect Western countries because the price of releasing their citizens is so high. Additionally, Western governments' compromises to gain its citizens show they can be blackmailed. Unsurprisingly, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea will exploit our weakness, and other nations may join the hostage diplomacy club. Western nations ask little of their inhabitants. Most haven't asked young men and women to complete national service in decades. After Russia and China shown they're not above hostage diplomacy, Westerners should help their country.